Welcome to another Pinterest-inspired episode. This time we're going to take a mixed media junk journal cover photo from Pinterest and use it as inspiration to make a tag. So if you want to see my step-by-step process of how I got from the cover to this tag, just keep on watching. So when we follow the link of the Pinterest photo back to the blog that it comes from, we see that it is actually a full journal page and it is made by Brenda Brown, who is on the Deco Art Mixed Media Design team, and this was made in 2018. So this is really cool because in her blog we can see exactly step by step what she did and what she used. So that's awesome. She even lists the items that she used. Of course, they are mostly the deco art media, which I don't have and I don't think we need. We can do it with what we have. And then she has clear instructions, step-by-step photos. So I will of course link this blog and the Pinterest picture. Somehow I will try to link it for you so you can follow the same process. I'm not going to be making a journal cover, but of course you could make a journal cover using these instructions. I just wanted to use the techniques for making a tag, and also a tag is less intimidating, it doesn't take as long, and it's a good way of practicing new techniques. And the reason why I picked this, besides the fact that I love, of course, the grunge and the mixed media look, is because there's some techniques here that I've never tried that I want to try. So she has a cover here, and first, of course, we need a base for a tag. So I'm going to be cutting out the shape of a tag, and then we just collage some papers over it. And for the base of the tag, I'm going to take some packaging. This is some packaging for some marzipan carrots, because I just made a cake for my BFF because it was her birthday yesterday. We'll be taking that cake to her later on today, and I thought instead of just throwing this out, why not use the packaging to make the tag. Normally I would probably take this to my paper trimmer to have exact straight edges, but since this year I'm trying to be less of a perfectionist, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to wing it and say that this is okay, even if it's not perfect. So now I'm just going to cut the corners. I'm cutting at about 45-degree angles, then just flipping it over and then cutting the same one. Okay, we have a tag shape. Now the question is, which side do we work on? This of course is glossy. You know what? I'm gonna use this side and sand it down a little bit to get rid of the gloss so that the glue sticks better. And then at least we have a nice clean back side. Much better, no more gloss. I chose mostly some Tim Holtz scraps that I have left over from some of his paper pads, and a piece of a vintage book page, a dictionary page. And so now I'm just going to start covering this tag up, and then we'll cut anything that's sticking out, we'll cut from the back side. Thank you for all your feedback on my recent video for when I was making the collage masterboard. And quite a few actually have said that you really enjoy me doing the collaging in real time and not speeding it up. So once again, I will try to do this, and hopefully the others won't be bored. So it's very easy to do this for me now because all of the papers I have pre-selected are in a similar color range, which I always find helpful, and that way I know nothing can go wrong. And I'm first just going to place it here without gluing it down yet. I'm trying to pick pieces from different paper pads. I think I want some more book page. And I mean, I think you know how I love neutrals. Neutrals are super simple to work with because you cannot go wrong. because no matter how you combine them, they're gonna work together. I'm just trying to have different shades of neutral colors, so not everything is too similar, just to have some more interest and some variety. Another thing that I always do, and I think you might know that by now as well, is I always like my pieces to be rectangular. I don't like weird shapes in my collages for some reason. I can't really tell you why. It's probably my perfectionism has to come out somewhere. So this might be the part where it comes out. So just trying to fill up all the gaps. Now this is going to be a very, very sturdy tag because of course I'm adding cardstock. One hole left here. Let's see if this will fit. Yeah, not quite. I just love this one. I'm not sure. I think this might be from the Wallflower paper pad. One of my most favorite patterns for sure. Just gonna put it on top. Okay, everything is covered up, and now I see that I'm actually not happy with what I did here because this is horrible. It might be covered up in the end anyway, but there is just way too much going on right here. So I think I'm going to take this away and take a bigger piece of this beautiful one. Now a lot of this I know is going to be covered up, but I don't know which parts. So I have to make the whole thing look nice. Okay, that's better. Just wondering if it's too much, too busy. Maybe this one is too dark. What if we add more of this to keep it calm? Yeah, I think I like that better. Also, I'm gonna change this and take a bigger book page piece for up here to just have one piece. Found a scrap of music paper, so that's even better. There, I'm happy with that. So now I'm just going to glue everything down. I just want to get rid of this white edge. I'm going to show you one more time my top-down gluing method because I just think it's a lot easier than starting from the bottom. So I'm going to start by gluing the piece that's on top first, but I'm not going to glue the middle because that would be on the tag, then I won't be able to lift it. So I'm just going to glue the outside and then put that here. And then I'm just going to go around and just glue all the pieces on the piece that's beneath it wherever I can, without actually gluing to the base of the tag. It does require a little bit of practice and patience, but I still prefer this to the other way where you don't remember then in the end where you had your pieces. See, now everything actually is already connected because of that one middle piece. So that makes it a lot easier for the other pieces not to move. And now I can turn the whole thing around and just glue the whole back. And now we can just turn it around and cut away any excess. And if necessary, we can add some more glue on the edges. So our base is ready to go. In the next step, Brenda takes a palette knife and some white gesso and goes over her surface in some areas, making sure that some of the areas have a pretty thick coating and some have a thinner coating. And actually she adhered her scrap papers on the base of her journal with matte medium and also covered everything with matte medium and then let it dry before this next stage. I just glued them down as you saw, and I don't see the need for our tag to have matte medium over the whole thing, but if this was a journal cover, I would probably do that as well to seal everything in. For tag, I don't think this is necessary. So let's give that a try. I have my very cheap white gesso here. If you do not have gesso, I believe you could also try this with white acrylic paint if it's not too thin. So I'm going to try to apply this in some spots heavier and in some spots lighter, thinner. And the reason why we're doing that, and this is the technique I wanted to try because I'm very intrigued by it, is she partially dries the white gesso so that the thin parts are completely dry, but the thicker parts just have like a skin over them, because we're going to dry it with our heat gun. But even if you just air dry it, you just don't let it dry completely through where the thicker parts are. And then we're going to stamp into those parts. So I think that is really cool. And I'm very curious how that's gonna work out. I think that's okay for this next stage. So now I'm going to take my heat gun and dry it off a little bit. And my plan is to be able to still stamp in it here. And I'm not sure if this one will work. This might be too thin. Okay, so I've partially dried my tag. So these thinner areas are dry, but this here is not. This here is almost. So I might only be able to get the stamping in this part. And I chose this stamp set, which is kind of like a ticket stamp set, and it has a scripty stamp. If I still find this, I will gladly link that below. And now I'm going to try to press the scripty one into this one, which is not completely dry yet. Yep, and that works. Very cool effect. Let's see if we can do some of the others. And I do want to wash them very quickly. Any of the ticket stamps down here. Yeah, partially it worked. Can't really see a lot here. Let's try some up here. You can't really see what it is, but it does give some texture, so that is quite cool. Okay, I will quickly wash my stamps before the acrylic dries. Brenda actually says that it makes it easier if you first put these in embossing ink so that the gesso doesn't stick to your stamp. I did not try that. Okay, that was super easy to get the gesso off, so no problem. If you do it right away, should be fine. So now I'm just going to let this dry completely. The next thing Brenda did after all of this was dry was to add some stenciling with a mixture of texture paste and white gesso. I'm going to use this Tim Holtz Plus stencil. I will link one of these below. I think it's an eBay link if I'm not mistaken. And I'm going to use my homemade texture paste. I will again link the video for you below, which I used to make this mixture. And I'm still totally loving this. And I'm thinking if it gets too hard, it's not yet, but if it does, I think I could just add a little bit more water to make it softer again. So Brenda uses different stencils around her journal cover, but of course we have a much smaller surface, so I'm just going to use one stencil and just apply it here and there. Love that. After the stenciling is dry, she then had a little bit of the mixture left of her gesso and texture paste. So she just used her finger, I think, to spread some around to make everything a little more cohesive. So I don't have anything left since I didn't have a mixture, but I figured it wouldn't hurt to kind of go around the tag. Definitely want to do it on the edges. Kind of just blend it in a little bit towards the middle maybe. Just blend a little bit there in the middle. If you don't want to use your finger, you can also use a baby wipe, of course. Or if you have too much in one area, you can go over it with a baby wipe to take some of it off again. It's all just experimenting, seeing what you like on yours. Might be different than what I like on mine. I just basically covered everything now. That's okay. All right, once again, I want to make sure this is dry before I continue with anything. Actually, I decided I'm gonna try to take some of this off again with my wet baby wipe. It might have already dried too much, but I think I do want to see a little bit more of that paper underneath. Might come off better if you do have the matte medium underneath, which we didn't do. But that's okay. It's still taking off some of it. Yep, I'm good with this. While this is completely drying, Brenda had put together her pieces of ephemera that she wanted to add, like the focal point and things she wanted to put underneath, and glued those pieces together so that then she can just glue the whole thing onto her journal. I don't know if this is going to work, but I want to try to see if I cut this out. This is also from the Tim Holtz paper stash. It says received. Might be too big, but I want to give it a try because I really like it. I will fussy cut around this and then we'll see if we can make that work. It might just work. I mean, it's really very close. Maybe I can make it work. It depends what else I can put around it. One thing I maybe want to try to add is this little bird. So this is still the wallflower paper stash. I will cut him out. Brenda uses this in one of her 2 collages, I think for the back side of the journal cover as well. So I'm going to fussy cut him, maybe somewhere up here. And then we need something else going on in the background. I really love, here there's this one saying parcel post, which of course works very well with the received. But of course this is way too big, so I want to try to find the smaller version of this. I only seem to have the bigger version and the smallest version, but not the middle one where you have the squares which are this shape. I must have used that one already. So this one is definitely too big. I can try this one. It really is super tiny. So yeah, but I still want to put it somewhere because I love the connection of received, parcel post. And I'm thinking these days it's really quite an achievement to receive your snail mail. So it's really nice to have a big received on a tag because that's something to celebrate when we received something in the mail. Especially if it's something for junk journaling, right? So now I just need to place some more bits around it. So I will experiment with some bits and see what else we can have there. So definitely no more words because that's enough of the wording. Some numbers. Numbers are always good. This would be a great opportunity to try to use one of my round elements, which I'm always struggling with and challenged with to use. So this is one from the Tim Holtz Ideology Urban Layers. I will link this below. So this has 65 pieces of ephemera. This is kind of what they look like. There's quite a few round elements, so I'm happy if I manage to use one of the round elements. I was thinking maybe I can make him work behind this little birdie. Yep, I kind of like that. And then I can try to add some more of the Tim Holtz wallflower paper that we have in the background here. We can have it again here. And here's another piece. Ooh, I like both sides. I need to cut this down. I like how this is coming together. Maybe just one more piece somewhere up here, something small. Should we introduce some yellow? Pop of yellow would not be bad, huh? I'm not sure. Yes, I like that. Okay, so, oh, I forgot the parcel post. We need the parcel post, maybe right here. Oh, but now I feel I need another thing of red. Maybe you know how I always like working in triangles with 3s. So now I have red here, and I'm missing something red down here. I found a little ticket here. And I think the number, yeah, that is perfect. I'm just gonna use that number part because I just wanted a little piece of red, nothing too bold. And this is just perfect. Yes, I have my triangle. I am happy. Okay, so now I need to ink everything up and then glue them together, but I won't glue it on the tag yet because we're not done with this background yet. And then I see that she has a tiny little paper clip in her little collage, and I don't have one like that, but I have one like this. So I thought, why not add that? I always love adding metal elements to collages. So I'll just do that. I think that's cool. Okay, so this piece is ready to go. So in this next stage, Brenda was trying to grunge up the background some more and to have some distress stains pool inside the pieces, or inside the, especially, you know, where all the nooks and crannies are that we have here from the stamps and the stenciling and all of that. She had some distress sprays that she just experimented around with, tried different things. I don't have distress sprays. I do have these daubers, which probably would work really well, but I also wanted to try using just the distress oxide or distress ink if you have it, because I think not everyone has these. So I want to see if we can get a similar effect just using these. So I want to start off with the tea dye, which is a little lighter, just to see what will happen. And I'm going to spray, or I'm going to mist it to see if we can kind of make it, I don't know, do interesting stuff, I guess. So I'm gonna take my mini mister. You can just take a spray bottle as well. It's probably not enough to actually make it pool anywhere. No. Okay, so if you try this, now I can't, or I don't really want to go into it with this brush because this is wet. Should probably put in more first. You know what, I'm just gonna dab the water off again so I can go over it with my brush without ruining it. Let's take the vintage photo. Yeah, I think this is more like it. Now let's see if we can kind of blend it. Make it run a little bit. Of course, you can also do this with watercolors or anything that's water soluble. Yeah, so that is nice. And then I think she kind of dabbed some of it away to just have it pool in the lower areas, which it's not really doing here, but it's still giving a cool effect. So you can just play around with that technique. Since I do have my distress stains, I do want to try it out as well. So these are the dauber bottles. Here I have the brushed corduroy. Let's see how that works. Let's add some water. Make that run a little bit around the page because I do want mine a little bit more grungy. I think that looks pretty cool. I don't actually want to daub away a lot because I really like this effect. And I'm wondering if I should even be brave and try the ground espresso, which is the darkest one I have. Just gonna try it. I figure I can wipe it away, most of it, if I don't like it. I should probably spray it first. I think this is all like really trial and error. And every time you will get a different effect, which is the cool thing. Okay, now what mine is not doing, it's not really pooling anywhere. You see? I don't know why. I'm sure some of you know why. I don't. But it's okay. I'm not worried about it. I like it anyway. Maybe I shouldn't dab it away. Maybe I should just leave it and let it dry. I'll add some more brushed corduroy because this is a different shade. Put some more water. What you could do, of course, also is just put your, for example, if you have vintage photo, you put this on either your mat or some place where you can wipe it off again. And then spray some water on it, and then you have this liquid mixture. And then you can take maybe a paintbrush and apply it to your tag. That might be a better option if you don't have the daubers. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to let this dry now, and then we'll see what it looks like. So this is after drying that first layer. You see a lot of it actually has kind of faded a lot. So I think I'm going to be repeating this process a few times because I definitely want this looking more grungy. So I'll just keep adding both the brushed corduroy and the ground espresso. Spraying it. And I do apologize if you can sometimes hear a helicopter in the background. We have some more demonstrations going on in the inner city of Vienna against the COVID security measures. So that's gonna take a few hours, I'm sure. So I cannot wait with my video that long. So this is what it looks like after I've dried it the second time, and I really like how grungy it is now. Let's see what it will look like once we have our piece here, and I think that works very well. I like it. Just wondering if I want to add a little more in some areas. I feel like I do, but I feel like I want it a little more controlled. Typical for a control freak. So I added some brushed corduroy, and I'm just going to take my brush. This is a water brush, but you can take any brush. And take it without diluting it and see what happens if I just... Oh, I think I'm gonna spray it. Yeah, this is too controlled. Never mind. But what we can do actually is just put this on there. That, of course, again, gives it a different effect. Just experiment. Yep, I like this. I hope we can still see that once it is dried. And let's even do some with the ground espresso. Ooh, yes, how cool. So I'm not doing it everywhere, I'm doing it just in some areas. Yes, I like that. Okay, cool. Let's try this. Since I'm doing a tag rather than a journal cover, I do want to outline the edges of the tag. I want to distress them. So first I'm going to distress it with my vintage photo and this blending brush. I have these linked below in case you are interested in these. Might as well go grungy all the way, huh? And then I want to give it an even darker outline. I'm going to take a charcoal pencil. It seems to be American. It's called Carbon Sketch Pencil. I'm just going to go around the edge and then try to blend that with, probably with my wet baby wipe. I don't know. I don't usually do this, so we'll see. Let's see if we can blend this with the baby wipe. This is really just barely damp now. Yeah, I think this is good. You can of course also use just a water-soluble pencil, a black pencil or a dark brown pencil, or watercolor, crayons, anything you have really. Definitely very grungy now. And then putting this on, I think she also goes around her piece with some kind of charcoal or some kind of pencil. So I'm going to do that here as well. It's not going to stick on this because this is glossy. I would have to sand it down a little bit. Maybe I should do that. Just on that edge. Yeah, much better. I think I'm going to take a wetter baby wipe now for this. And now we can glue this on here. thinking if I should glue it on with dimensional like foam tape. That would kind of be cool to have that raised a little bit. And something I'm also thinking of doing, something I saw on Louisa Heinzel's channel. She did that recently. She, instead of just putting it down and then doing the shading around it, she had a very valid point that actually you can always see just a tiny area of whatever your background is. So it doesn't really look like a shadow. So in order to make the shadow more realistic, you should actually do the shadow underneath your piece, like going in a little bit more than just going around it like this. I don't know if that made sense now. So she would just glue her piece of ephemera down in the middle so that she can still lift off the edges to go underneath. I actually, now I remember. It was the video where she showed how to do the tag that I tried to replicate from our challenge. I will link that video for you below, just in case you want to see that. So in our case, if we're going to attach this with some foam tape, I think that'll give us enough space to kind of go under that. So now I'll go around and underneath it as much as I can to just give it that shadow. Obviously, this is easier if you have foam tape underneath because you have some space. But if you don't use foam tape, just don't glue down till the edges until you have all the shading, and then you glue it down completely. And this time I'm going to take my water brush to dilute this and to kind of fan it out, because I think it would be hard to get in there with my baby wipe. I like it. You see that? Beautiful shadow around it. As a final touch, I want to add a hole and a hole reinforcement on the top, as well as a piece of cheesecloth, maybe. Ooh, that was challenging now through the texture paste. Unfortunately, we covered up most of the texture paste here, but you do see some of it peeking out with the stamp impressed on it, and we definitely see it up here. Since I'm adding it to an uneven surface, I don't trust it to hold itself by itself, so I'm just going to add some glue. And these have just been distressed with my vintage photo. And then let's cut a piece of this cheesecloth. It's not my most favorite kind. Like this one, I don't think, let me see if I can tear it. Yeah, see, this one doesn't tear, which is really a bummer. But I will do what I can to distress it, just by kind of pulling it in all directions. Oops, that might have been too much. I really want it looking raggedy. Okay, this definitely looks very raggedy. Whoops. I think I need some more glue around this. So here's our topper. Very, very raggedy. I like it. Very grungy looking. So here's our finished tag, inspired by a junk journal page by Brenda. I love how this turned out. I know it's super grungy, probably not everyone's taste, but I love it. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you experiment as well. There's so much we can learn from other people's creations by trying to replicate what they did. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more. I have more of these coming up for sure. And go check out Louise's Facebook page. She has it linked under her videos. I've linked one of her videos down below. She puts photos of tags on her Facebook group where you can then try to replicate them. So this will be one tag which I think she will add to her group. And also she has added a couple of mine in the past that I've done on video. So check those out if you want to. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Love you guys.
Mwah. Mwah.